I don't know why they make it so difficult. Alright, we're live. We are live on a Halloween. Probably not too many people coming to a live stream on Halloween, but I'm in my office, so let's give it a rip. Hold on, I haven't even looked at the news today. Judge orders Trump admin to use emergency funds for food assistance. Like, I was seeing online that Trump had a backup plan to use, like, Treasury to send direct payments to Americans. Look, when people aren't eating is when the riots start to happen in this country. And it's just a proven fact. When you look at history, like when a certain percentage, like 50% of your paycheck goes to food, people will start rioting. 60% plus, governments get overthrown. Anyone that has a brain knows this. The Democrats might be using this as a play because they know how dependent people are on the food system now for these SNAP benefits. I mean, every year, the amount of people on EBT grows and grows. So if you can cut this off, you can pretty much put the pressure and start nationwide riots. And I saw some like TikTok guy, like my mom was showing me this video, and the guy was like, if you're a single mother, don't go to the grocery store by yourself. You're going to get robbed. You know, it's going to be dangerous. Just like this total fear mongering. And I'm like, why would some person who's not on EBT come and like rob me and get the shit beat out of them and have me fighting over the food I already bought when you can just go into the store, load your basket up, and walk out? No one's going to stop you. All grocery stores are pretty much national chains now. So with insurance and legality, like security can't touch you. They can't do anything. Pretty much all they can do is security is to scare you, and then they call the police. And if you're in California, if it's under $1,100, it's like a parking ticket if you get caught. I think they rescinded the law, but it's a slap on the wrist here. I mean, people will guilt you, but I mean, no one's gonna rob you from the parking lot when they can just walk out of the store with it. And you know what? I understand it too. I mean, like if you have a family to feed, you're hungry, people are gonna do what they gotta do. And just the problem with the food stamps is everyone loses their job and everyone will need this assistance at some point, right? Like, I totally believe in it. Like, we need to have a welfare system when things don't go right for you. But, like, this is institutionalized welfare where people get on it and they never get off of it. This is only supposed to be a short-term gig, not just, like, a subsidy for all these people. Let's look. How many people do you think... Hold on, I want to check one thing. How many people do you think are on... How many people do you think are on food stamps? That would be an interesting number to look at. Damn. How many people do you guys think are on food stamps? Let's look it up on... Alright, it's working on here. Hold on. Wait, I want to know for my own sake. How many people in the United States food stamps. Holy moly. 41.7 million people receive benefits from this Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, which is roughly 12.3% of the U.S. population. Wow. 12.3%. Like, wait, hold on. Wait, so, okay, 12.3. Hold on, let's ask it. How many. Wait, can you guys see my screen? Okay, wait, yeah. Let me so you can see what I'm typing. What is percent of people. What is percent of people above 18 years old? What the fuck? Total U.S. population is 335 million, and there's 41 million people. But like, look at it. What percent of people are like 18 above? That's like including every single person, whether you're like 10 years old. So 262 million people are adults. Okay. What would be the... So it would be 16% of adults in the United States are on food stamps. And what's crazy, stock market's like at all-time high, the economy's moving, real estate's up, and we have 16.1% of adults on food stamps. This is crazy. What do you think the percent of people on food stamps is going to be when the stock market crashes, when real estate crashes, and all these industries that's employing a ton of people goes? It's going to be, I think, easily 30% of a country on food stamps. So, man, 16% and times are good. It's going to be rough out there. So pretty much the government's just going to be feeding everyone. The government is just subsidizing everyone to eat right now. And at a certain point, I mean, the government might be providing food for 50% of the country. Pretty insane numbers. What's this deposit insurance for billionaires? What is this? I don't want an ad. What the fuck? So now there's a proposal to raise the taxpayer insured limit to $10 million. Well, with inflation and everything, the banks insure up to $250,000, I believe, which is not a lot of money. So if you have $2 million in cash, what you do is you make separate bank accounts at your bank of $250,000, and each account would be insured, or you use multiple banks. But like, I mean, people operating large businesses, right? Like 50, $60 million in the bank, you have to make payroll, all this stuff. Like 250 is absolutely nothing. And you saw this with that banking crisis in California where SBV or Silicon Valley, SVB, Silicon Valley Bank went under. A bank no one had ever heard of, but they were doing the payrolls for all of these like major companies, and then they went under, and these companies had, hey, I have $20 million, I gotta make payroll. All these people weren't gonna get paid. They're gonna lose their jobs. So what happened was, instead of just the bank going under, the FDIC covering the 250, the FDIC insurance came in and insured everyone's deposits fully. So essentially they stopped a banking crisis from happening by just guaranteeing everything. That insurance fund is paid out by, like, the banks pay into it every month, and there's a couple $1 billion in it. They used all of the money on this like one or two banks in California going under. So not good. So what, I mean, they have no ammo. Like if another bank crisis happens, they've taken all the money out and it's gone. So what's going to happen is it's just going to come straight from the Fed and bail it out. What do you guys think about Trump blowing up all these drug boats? I mean, there's no judge, jury, you know, they're international waters. I think everyone's deserved a court date. We're not at war. And who's to say like some of these guys aren't fishermen or being forced to go on these trips? Who knows? But the drug epidemic's gotten out of control and drastic measures are needed, I guess. So, like, pretty big news, like, Trump is going to start nuclear testing again. Like, because of the Russians. The Russians don't have conventional army like the United States, so they rely heavily on deterrent and nuclear weapons, and they successfully tested the first nuclear-powered cruise missile. So this thing can just fly around indefinitely with a nuclear reactor and then nuke. And it's unstoppable, because, like, other missiles, ICBMs, go into the atmosphere and you can shoot it down. This just will be going horizontal. It will be very hard to shut down. They also have that nuclear submarine that can blow up and just creates a 500-meter radioactive tidal wave. So Trump's maybe feeling a little insecure and he's going to do the testing again. Hold on.
A new escalation by Russia. The country's President Vladimir Putin showcasing what he's calling the successful test of a new nuclear-powered missile, an apparent effort to show Russia's military might more than 3.5 years into its illegal invasion of Ukraine. Here's what we know. The missile is said to be a world's first with unlimited range and the ability to circumnavigate other countries' air defenses. Vladimir Putin announcing the missile officially over the weekend, saying it can travel vast distances. NATO has codenamed it Skyfall. Its unveiling comes as Russia is facing new sanctions by the United States and Europe, facing renewed pressure to end the war in Ukraine. A new escalation by Russia.
That supposedly Russia's the only one with this weapon.
Built a missile that can potentially fly for days. Sounds like science fiction? It's not. 9M730 Burevestnik is a ground-launched cruise missile. Burevestnik means storm petrel, a small seabird known for appearing over the ocean just before or during storms. What makes the Burevestnik special, instead of a conventional rocket engine, the missile has a nuclear propulsion system, giving it almost unlimited range. At least, that's what Moscow claims. The Russian army said the missile flew 14,000 kilometers for roughly 15 hours in a latest test and could defeat any missile defenses.
It gives a different kind of nuclear strike option in the sense of it theoretically could approach, for example, the United States from Russia from relatively unusual directions because of the fact that it doesn't have to take an efficient route to the target. It can continue to fly for a long time, but it doesn't alter the fact that Russia could already destroy those targets anywhere on Earth.
Could Burevestnik soon be put into service, for example, in Ukraine? No, says Justin Browser. He argues that Moscow boasting about test results would merely be a move to threaten NATO and increase media coverage.
Quite a bit of support for Russia in significant parts of Africa and Latin America, some parts of Southeast Asia. They would lose all of that immediately if they used nuclear weapons first against a non-nuclear armed adversary like Ukraine. And so the Burevestnik doesn't change any of that.
And what does it mean for the US, NATO, and global arms control?
It doesn't fundamentally change the political calculations of any country that is looking at the Russian nuclear arsenal. Ultimately, Russia could still destroy the United States, any other country on Earth, probably with it the world as we know it. But of course, that's what the United States has a nuclear arsenal for, and so do countries like the UK and France. I don't think there's anything that hugely changes this.
Russia says it has built a missile that can potentially fly for days. Sounds like science fiction? It's not. 9M730 Burevestnik is a ground-launched cruise missile.
Yeah, it's just another way for us to end the world. Hold on. Where's this nuclear? Russia? Nuclear. Oh, here.
Oh, good. Russian state media is claiming that they can generate a 500-meter high radioactive tsunami. Let's find out how they can do that. I don't know if you guys are tracking on the Poseidon torpedo or not, but this thing was kind of leaked publicly in 2015 through a TV broadcast and then formally announced by President Vladimir Putin. And essentially what it is a unmanned underwater vehicle that's both a submarine and a torpedo that can stealthily navigate the ocean and then detonate wherever Russia wants to send it, essentially. That's what they're claiming. Apparently the thing's approximately 20 meters long, can travel up to 100 knots or 185 kilometers per hour. And as far as its range is concerned, well, it's, there's no way to really tell because it's propelled by nuclear power, so it could be, there's estimates in 10,000 kilometers potentially. Got a very low acoustic signature, there's nobody on board. It could loiter indefinitely underwater practically. But anyway, on October 29th of 2025, Putin announced a huge success in testing Poseidon during an informal meeting with wounded soldiers at a Moscow hospital. The test, which was conducted on October 28th from an unnamed carrier submarine, marked the full first activation of this nuclear propulsion unit after launch via booster motor, which allows it to operate independently underwater for an unspecified duration. Now, Putin emphasized that its unmatched power and claims it surpasses Russia's Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile, boasting that there is, quote, nothing like this globally with no interception possible. Now, some people are speculating that this led President Donald Trump to talk about doing more nuclear testing, but I'll leave that to you to decide. Oh, good. Russian state media.
Yeah, so this thing can create a 500-meter tidal wave of nuclear radiation. Like all these port cities, like in New York, they just send this nuclear-powered torpedo in, and these things could just go for days at sea. I mean, you got a nuclear reactor; it can just go forever. The other thing that's scary is like there's so many nuclear weapons out there, and these things, these cruise missiles, these subs have nuclear reactors. What if they're testing this thing, it just doesn't work, and then it blows up, and then you just have this nuclear explosion? And I feel like at the rate, North Korea, China, Russia, everyone's developing nuclear weapons, like there's gonna be an accident, a nuclear accident. I mean, even with the cruise missile, it blew up. That wasn't nuclear, but it blew up and killed like a bunch of top scientists in Russia back like 2 or 3 years ago when they were developing this thing. They've been working on it a while. So there's just too much stuff out there to keep track of. But like one thing that's interesting is like Russia's so weak conventionally, like with all this money and people pouring into Ukraine to fight Russia, like I feel like eventually they're just gonna get like so frustrated with this war they might just use like a small tactical nuclear missile and like take out Kiev and see where that goes. What's this? SpaceX could win a contract to build 600 satellites for secret Milnet network powering Trump's Golden Dome shield. Oh. They can build all these systems. It's just going to be so difficult. Like Russia launches 500 nuclear missiles, submarines. There's just no way you can stop all of this. There's really no. Everyone wants this like sense of security, but in reality, there is no security. We're all living under, a hanging sword. Agents wear horror masks. Like, Drudge just like turned so liberal, it's crazy. Dangerous radiations levels detected in San Fran. I think these like aircraft carriers are nuclear powered. Well, like I was reading about China shipbuilding. I think like China makes 80% of all the like ships now. Like all we do is make our aircraft carriers. I mean, all of the ships are built overseas. We're losing all our infrastructure to build the war out in the future. What is this? Mystery has more than 300 piles of human remains discovered in desert outside of Las Vegas. Maybe they found one of the mob burial grounds. More than 300 piles of cremated human remains have been found scattered across the Nevada desert. A man discovered them near the remote town of Searchlight, about an hour outside Las Vegas. A team of Palm mortuaries and cemeteries arrived at the scene on Wednesday to remove the piles. They found 315 sets of ashes and placed them each in individual urns. Wow. Authorities believe a funeral home littered the desert with the ashes full, but have not released details of any business suspected of being involved. While spreading human remains is permitted on public land in Nevada, mass commercial dumping of funeral homes is illegal under state law. But I mean, if I was walking in the desert and I saw like this, I would not know these were human remains. Humiliating truth about influencer two-turn Tony. And since I love two-turn Tony. He was like the OG, got famous on TikTok during COVID. Come on. Oh, here we go. Humiliating. But you know, exposure, like Daily Mail's covering you. Humiliating truth about influencer two-turn Tony and his extreme stunts. He's ripped, makes $3 million a year, and has all the hottest girls, but a dark reality lies beneath. Where's the fucking article? Oh, you gotta subscribe? Get out of here. His girls aren't that hot though, honestly. He's got a bunch of mid-trash chicks. And I think most of his money comes from OnlyFans. Yeah, if you can build up an audience on social media and then do OF, you can make a lot of money. But everyone else, you gotta come up with a product or a service. Wow, look at Trump's redoing the White House. More home purchases falling through an uncertain economy. I'm telling you, the real estate bubble is popping. More home purchases are falling through in an uncertain economy. Buyers worried about job prospects and getting cold feet, or realizing the costs will be higher than expected. The problem is, like, new home prices are crazy, so people are buying these older homes and they also don't realize the maintenance and upkeep of them. You know, a slab leak, $20,000, insurance doesn't cover it. And with how high prices are, people are pretty much going to put every penny they have into the down payment, and they're going to be house poor. They can't travel, go out, or do anything. I think if you're waiting to buy a house, wait a little further, because when the bubble pops, I mean, the prices are going to come down so much. They're so overinflated. There's so much leverage. There's so much bullshit. Like, a couple of years ago, I had a rent-a-car, so the radio was on, and it was just ads like, oh, don't have money for down payment? We'll let you borrow it at a high interest rate. That was like 3 years ago, and the bubble still hasn't popped. Like, imagine the crap going, like, all that leverage works as long as real estate goes up. Trish DaCosta saved for more than 5 years to buy a home in Nashville, Tennessee. Was thrilled when her offer on a roughly $400,000 three-bedroom house was accepted. Then a month before closing her, she was laid off from her job in the public relations. She learned she lost her job. The first call she made was the real estate agent to pull her offer. Grieving the loss of the house. It's really frustrating after years of saving and planning. A clause in the contract ensured that DaCosta got back her $4,000 good faith deposit, but she lost roughly $1,100 spent on inspections and fees. Sales of existing homes rose by 1.5%. 17% cancellation rate. Well, how many 30,000 high-paying corporate jobs were lost on Amazon? Every time I go on a TikTok, it's like someone in corporate America losing their job. So those people won't be buying anything. Also, like, hey, you bought something, you're up 50% equity, you just lost your job, maybe it's a good time to sell. That brings more houses onto the market. I look at these Latin American markets and, like, everything is for sale and nothing's moving. It's just illiquid. How Bill Gates gave up saving the world. You see, finally, Bill Gates was like, climate change isn't gonna end humanity. And now the liberals are saying how Bill Gates gave up saving the world. It's so dramatic. Like, they're fear-mongering to get people to do something, and then it doesn't happen, and then you look like an idiot, and then people will go the opposite, where they should tell the truth to people, like, hey, this is going to be a problem at a certain date, instead of fear-mongering. Now the liberals are turning on him. Thieves steal 1,000 items from Oakland Museum. Well, after the Louvre heist, all these like mid-sized like museums probably have horrible security, but the Louvre can be robbed. These smaller museums can easily be robbed. And anything that's not bolted to the ground in Oakland is going to be taken. Man, Oakland, don't leave anything in your car. I had a horrible story. I had a friend went to Oakland. He finally got this big contract to take photos of the NBA team up there for this event. And he was new, so he went and rented all the camera equipment, did the shoot with the film, everything, and then he put it back in the car. It didn't have like a trunk. It was like the back seat or the trunk, but there was glass. Someone saw it, broke out the glass, took everything. So he lost all the footage of what they paid him to do, and he lost the cameras, which he didn't own, which he had to pay back, and he got screwed. And, you know, like, you're not from Oakland. You don't realize, like, how everyone, their cars just get broken into. People now, it's so bad in Oakland, people leave their cars unlocked. Or not unlocked, they leave the windows down so people don't break it out. It's like, all right, if you want to steal something, the windows are unlocked. Pretty crazy. Andrew had 40 prostitutes brought to his 5-star hotel in just 4 days during a taxpayer-funded trip to Thailand. Royal historian Andrew Loney tells Bombshell Daily. 40. What a dog. What a dog. 40. Nothing's ever... If they haven't done anything to Andrew now, they're not going to. I mean, because then if they went after him, it'd open up all the Mossad Epstein stuff, and they're not going to do nothing. Alright, there's not too many viewers today, so I'm going to log off until next time.